Time now for some sports news. Organisers of the International Table Tennis World Tour, tagged Lagos Open, have increased the prize money for the tournament to attract more world-class players. This year, the prize money will be 9.2 million naira, an increase from the 7.8 million at stake last year. The events have also been increased to 6 from 4, as players will compete in singles, men and women, doubles, men and women, as well as under-21 boys and girls. The competition will take place at the Molade Okoya Thomas Hall of the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos, and it will serve off on March the 10th to the 14th. CAF President Issa Hayatu is seeking a change in the body's rules on age limits so that he can continue into the next decade. CAF requires officials who reach 70 to step down, but the change will be proposed and discussed at the Congress in April this year. Hayatu, who's 68, is in the 7th term of office, having been elected as president of CAF since 1988. Hayatu's current mandate ends in 2017 and is seeking 4 more years until at least 2021, when he turns 75. Police in Sao Paulo had to launch tear gas to disperse a brawl between Corinthians and Palmeiras fans when both sides clashed at the weekend. Violent brawls broke out at the Sao Paulo derby match after a miserable back pass from Palmeiras defender Victor Hugo helped their arch-rivals to a 1-0 win. Fans ran for safety as others threw chairs and missiles at riot police, who launched smoke bombs to disperse the crowd. To the NBA, where San Antonio Spurs coach Greg Popovich has reached the 1,000th regular season win of his career. Marco Bellinelli's baseline jumper with a 2.1 seconds left capped San Antonio's 95-93 victory over the Indiana Pacers, ensuring the 66-year-old became the 9th coach to reach the milestone. And cricket fans across Pakistan have been buying ICC World Cup t-shirts as the nation prepares for the tournament in New Zealand and Australia. Pakistan begin their World Cup campaign against arch-rivals and defending champions India in Adelaide this Sunday, the 15th of this month. Emotions run high every time the South Asian neighbours clash on a cricket ground. Well, the 1992 champions have never beaten India at the World Cup, and many of the fans will not mind their team crashing out at the early stage, provided they beat their neighbours. And that's it on Sports News. Ijoma will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
The United States government has confirmed that an aid worker who had been kidnapped in Syria since August 2013 has been killed by ISIS militants. ISIS had last week demanded a $6.6 billion ransom for her, but the government said it needed proof that she was still alive. Her family says it's heartbroken at the news, while US President Barack Obama, paying tribute to her, said she represents what's best about America. Meanwhile, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad says he has not been kept in the dark about the activities of the US-led coalition against ISIS militants. He said in an interview today that though there's been no direct cooperation since airstrikes began in Syria last September. Victoria Ido has more.
In an interview with the BBC, President Bashar al-Assad also denied that Syrian government forces have been dropping barrel bombs indiscriminately on rebel-held areas, killing thousands of civilians. Mr. Assad dismissed the allegations, calling it a childish story, although the BBC reports that his denial is highly controversial as the death of civilians in barrel bombs attacks are well documented. Meanwhile, fighting has surged in eastern Ukraine as government forces and pro-Russian rebels try to make ahead of the possible peace talks on Wednesday. Separatist forces have carried out rocket attacks on a key military headquarters and a residential area. Also, South Sudan's government has accused rebels of shelling its position in the oil town of Bentiu in breach of a ceasefire. United Nations spokeswoman says the violence was the most serious since the ceasefire was agreed on the 1st of February. Finally, Russian President Vladimir Putin is in Egypt holding talks with his counterpart Abdel Fattah el-Sisi at the start of a 2-day visit in Cairo. Both men are seeking to boost bilateral ties, with Mr. Putin emphasizing Egypt's status as a Russian trusted partner. He presented Mr. el-Sisi with an AK-47 rifle when he arrived on Monday. And that's all on the Foreign News Wrap-Up. It's back to the news at 10.
Thanks a lot, Victoria. And the main news again. The United Nations today threw its weight behind Nigeria in the fight against terror. The former ECOWAS chairman, Ibn Chambers, who represented the UN Secretary General, told President Jonathan today that the body will do all it can to strengthen the multilateral force and ensure the defeat of Boko Haram. Niger Republic has agreed to send a battalion of soldiers to Nigeria. The Minister of Power has said that Nigeria is presently generating above 4,000 megawatts of electricity and has promised a better deal with President Goodluck Jonathan. And the United States government has confirmed that an aid worker who had been kidnapped in Syria since August 2013 has been killed by ISIS militants. Well, that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Ijeoma Onyato. Coming up next, we'll bring you a repeat of our special elections program, Nigeria 2015. Do enjoy and good night.